Okay, we are live. Hey, how is it going? Lee Hayward here with the Total Fitness Bodybuilding video chat, and hopefully this is coming through now. I had a tech glitch where it wasn't streaming like it should, right? When you're doing things live, like this isn't pre-recorded, this is live in real time, the excrement sometimes hits the fan and sometimes things do not work as they should. But hopefully this is going and this is working and we are up and running. All right, so let us see. Okay, AJ says, I think it's working fine now. Good, I appreciate it. Thank you much. And as you're popping onto our live stream here now, please introduce yourself into the chat window there and let me know if it is coming through loud and clear. If you can hear me and see me on your end, Lee saying it is coming through loud, and I'm sure the other word was clear. What's happening? I'm doing well. Welcome to the video chat, folks. All right, we got Robert joining in as well. Good afternoon. Ready for some good info? Well, hopefully I'll have some good info for you. Welcome. And Brian said, there you are. Yes, so people who are loud and clear, loud and clear. Good stuff. Okay, thanks, guys. Yeah, so I literally, I set this up and I went to go live and it was streaming to Facebook, but it didn't stream to YouTube. And most people tune in through YouTube. So because I was getting a glitch, for some reason it wasn't streaming to YouTube. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to restart, set it all up again and then just go live. And it seems we're going live both on Facebook and YouTube. So regardless of where you're tuning in from, whether it is on Facebook or YouTube, you can join in on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding video chat and participate in our conversation today. And the way these chats work is I'm going to be hanging out here for the next hour answering questions and topics of discussion that you have related to fitness and nutrition, health and wellness, any specific challenges or topics you want to discuss related to working out, related to nutrition, building muscle, losing fat, anything along those lines, type them into the chat window. So if you're over on YouTube, there's going to be a live chat to the side, whichever one of those sides, but somewhere to the side of the video. I think it might be over there. There's going to be a video chat window there where you can type in your questions in real time, and that will pop up here on my screen. If you're over on Facebook and you're joining us, just type a comment down below in the comment section below the video. And again, that will pop up on my screen, and I'll be able to answer your questions, and we can interact and chat through our live Q&A here today. And again, this is something that I do pretty much every Friday. It's a regular occurrence. And I know I see a lot of regular people joining in. And if you're regular, welcome back. And if you're brand new, maybe this is your first time tuning into a live Q&A on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel or Facebook page, welcome. Always nice to have new people joining in. So let's see what we got here. Okay. We got Tim joining in. Says, hey, Lee, great to catch another live. Always dropping knowledge. Says, I'm down to 224.5 now and feeling strong. Appreciate all the solid info and motivation you keep bringing. Awesome. Well, congratulations on hitting a new personal best in your fat loss journey. That is awesome. And the way it usually goes when you're on your fat loss journey, you're going to hit new personal best lows, but then it's going to always fluctuate. Like there's going to be some ups and downs along the way. Like, you'll probably bounce back up a few pounds and you'll drop down a few pounds. But what we're looking for is, where's the trend headed? Is the trend heading down? That's what we want. And it's okay to have some spikes and ups and downs along the way, but look at the overall trend. Is it moving in the right direction? And always celebrate when you hit those new lows. And what you'll find happening, assuming that you're on the right track, is the lows will get lower, and then those rebound highs won't go quite as high. So the trend will be moving in the right direction as you get leaner and as you start to improve your body composition. But again, thanks for sharing that. That's awesome. All right, we've got some other questions and topics coming through. One thing I wanted to address, just a couple little housekeeping notes and things on my end. If you haven't already done so, check out the latest episode of the Total Fitness Bodybuilding podcast that I did with Mark King. It's the one where I was interviewing a very obese man who's on his fitness journey. And we did an in-depth podcast interview. And I got to say, I have a new appreciation for people who struggle with their weight. Because I'm going to be totally upfront and transparent with this. before really interacting with Mark like I have been, and I'll talk more about how we've been interacting together, because I've been literally coaching him on his weight loss journey, to help him improve his eating, his exercise, and his lifestyle habits, specifically with the exercise. In fact, we did a live workout this morning. I'll talk more about that in a moment. But before really getting to know Mark and chatting with him, I always had this in the back of my mind. Like when I see people who are really overweight and they really let themselves go, it's almost like, how the hell do you get to that point where you let yourself go? And I couldn't really empathize with them. I couldn't really relate to it because I always think in myself, like when I get a few pounds too heavy, I was like, oh shit, I got to do something. Like I got to get my shit together and get back on track. And I don't let myself keep sliding down the slope, if you will, sliding down. But I can understand and empathize. How do you say that? Empathize, I guess. That's the word I'm trying to say. I can empathize with people who do struggle with their weight a lot more after having this conversation and coaching Mark. Because there's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes than just knowing what to do. Like everybody knows, hey, I should eat right. I should exercise. I should get 8 hours of sleep. I should not smoke cigarettes. I should not drink alcohol. I should take care of myself. I should get a haircut and get a real job. I should get it together like my big brother Bob. Like everybody knows what you should do. But when life circumstances throws things your way and you go through some challenging times, very often we need some comfort. We need a crutch. And for some people, that comfort might come from alcohol. That comfort might come from cigarettes or some other form of recreational substances that enter the body. Or that comfort might come from food. And in Mark's case, the comfort came from food and it just became obsessive and it just kept going downhill, 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 spiraling downhill. And it gets to the point where you don't even care anymore. And the thing is what he's talked about in our podcast interview is once he got so big, it was like, what's the point of even trying? Because he said, like, even if I work out and exercise today and I lose a pound, I'm still going to be fat tomorrow. What's the point? And he really had to change his mindset. And we talk a lot about mindset and changing that in the podcast. So for any of you who are struggling with your weight and you can kind of relate to what I'm talking about here, like, you know what to do, but you're just not doing it, then that podcast is a good one to listen to, right? Because it really is eye-opening. And this is something that it's a problem with a lot of fitness coaches and personal trainers who never really struggled with their weight. And like, I mean, by most people's standards, like I didn't really struggle that much. Like, okay, at my heaviest, I was 240 pounds. Now, for me, that's fat. For the average person these days, 240 pounds is probably skinny, especially compared to the average American. And compared to Mark, who I was doing the podcast with and who I'm coaching now, he would love to be 240 pounds because currently he's in the low 500s right now. So, I mean, heck, the thought of being 240 pounds would be like a dream come true. So what I consider to be a fat slob for me would be, a lot of people consider, wow, I would love to be in that shape. I would love to be that skinny, so to speak. So we got to really put things in perspective. And one thing that I found with a lot of fitness coaches is they can't really relate to the challenges that a lot of people go through. And from a personal level, I can't either. But by working with people and chatting with them and actually getting this deeper insight, I can empathize with them and I can relate more. And I feel that is kind of, it's like an education for me in learning the challenges and the struggles. So I'm really looking forward to continuing on working with Mark and help him in his journey. And by doing this, I know it's going to help me to become a better coach for helping other people who struggle with their weight. Because a lot of the young 20-something-year-old genetically gifted personal trainers and coaches out there, they're just like, just no pain, no gain. Just, hit the gym, train hard, stop being a pussy, no excuses, rise and grind and all this kind of bullshit. And they just tell you, train hard, here's your workout, here's your exercises, your sets, your reps, here's your diet, here's your calories and macros, go get them, tiger. And like, if you don't go get them, tiger, then what's the problem? Like, you're a pussy, you're lazy, you're a sack of whatever. And they can't really relate to all the underlying issues and challenges and struggles that are the real things that are holding people back. Like lack of tactics in terms of what to do Like, nobody is overweight and out of shape because they don't have a diet plan or because they don't have a workout program. And even if you don't know a diet plan or you don't know a workout program, you can go on Google and type it in. What's the best diet? What's the best workout? And you'll get every workout and diet plan there ever is. You can go on YouTube. Like, there's every exercise that you'll ever need is there on YouTube. Like, everything is there. So you can't say it's, I don't know what to do. Of course you know what to do, but you probably don't have a support system and the accountability to actually take what you know or what you can get access to, the knowledge that's at your fingertips, just a Google search away, and actually put that into practice. And how do you break it down into step-by-step actions that you can implement? Because a lot of times when people start searching what's the best diet, what's the best workout, and they get all that information overload, it's just like, oh my God, there's too much coming at me too soon. And a confused mind always says no. Like, when you get information overload, you just say, I ain't doing anything. It's the classic paralysis by analysis. There's just too much coming at you and you do nothing. What do you do when you're overwhelmed? You order food and you end up eating yourself to try and get that short-term comfort, right? You numb the pain with short-term comfort food. Even though you know that's going to be bad for you in the long run, you do it in the short term because you need to feel good right now. And that's a challenge that a lot of people struggle with. So again, I'm really learning this and experiencing it by, working directly with people who are going through it. So, I'm grateful to have this opportunity to work with Mark. And this morning over on Mark's channel, we did a live stream workout video, and it's up there. I mean, you can watch the replay if you want, but we took him through an upper body workout today utilizing resistance bands, and he did a great job. So we focused on we did some rowing exercises, we did some tricep extensions and some curls and some chest flies. And for a big man at 520 pounds ish, whatever he weighs at the moment, that was quite a challenge, right? I mean, he's a big man and he did it. And the thing that I love about it is, if a big man like him can do it, what's your excuse? Like, a lot of people can do it. I mean, he started off at 886 pounds and now he's down in the low 500s. He's lost, I think he told me he lost a total of like 373 pounds. That, not saying he weighs 373 pounds. He has lost 373 pounds. Like, he has lost a full obese person in terms of weight loss. Now, he still has got a lot to go. He's still got another 300 pounds to lose, but he's on his journey and he's making progress and he's getting better than he was before. And that's what I respect, right? So again, if you haven't checked it out, I would highly recommend checking it out. Even if you don't struggle with your weight, it's an insight, because I guarantee you that every single one of you watching this right now, even if you're not struggling with your weight, you know people who are. You've got friends, you got family, you got neighbors, you got coworkers, you got people in your life who are struggling, and this will help to give you a better insight and maybe help to support them as well, right? So again, I encourage you to check that out. And it's the most recent podcast episode up there on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel. All right, so I'm going to get in and start answering some questions here now. And one more thing, all right, I want to share this with you. For those of you who've been checking out social media lately, there seems to be a trend I find on Facebook especially, and I'm sure it's going around on Instagram and all the other platforms, but you're seeing people posting action figures of themselves. And I went in on ChatGPT this afternoon, and I made a Lee Hayward action figure. And I want to share this. Just check this out. All right. I'm going to make that as big as I can. There we go. The Lee Hayward Total Fitness Bodybuilding action figure. I thought that was pretty darn cool. Now, granted, the muscles are probably a little bit fuller than mine are right now. The hair is probably a little thicker and there's no gray up there. But I thought it turned out pretty darn good. So the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Lee Hayward, your muscle building coach action figure, with a gym bag, dumbbells, and some workout gloves as accessories. So I thought that was pretty darn cool. And you can go make one of them for yourself. I just went in on ChatGPT and did it. Like, you can Google search how to make action figures. And, you get the prompts and stuff. And, of course, you can tweak it and modify it and tell it what you want to do. But I thought that was pretty darn cool. So I just wanted to share that with you, right? The Lee Hayward action. Whoop, there I am. All right, stop the screen share. There we go. All right, so let's jump in now, guys. We got a lot of questions and Q&A, and that's what you're here for. So let's get going. Lee Dunnigan's joining in saying, I saw your kettlebell deck squat on Instagram today, and I've never seen a kettlebell deck squat before. It looks such a good exercise. I'm going to add it to my core strengthening exercises. Yeah, this is something that I've been doing personally with my training. I've been focusing more on kettlebell work, and got to say, it's one of those things, like once you get into it, you really get into it, and I'm loving it. And the thing that I really like about kettlebells is they allow you to get a lot of mobility, a lot of different variety in your workouts, but you can train without using excessively heavy weights, because compared to like machine and barbell exercises, the weights that you're using for kettlebells are relatively light, but you can still get a damn good workout. And because you're using all these different movement patterns, and it's really focusing on the mobility and the technical side, I find that I'm still getting a good workout, but it's easier on the joints. Like, I don't feel beat up afterwards, but I feel very loose and limber and actually invigorated after those workouts. So yeah, if you're friends with me over on Facebook, I posted up in my stories. It's in my current stories there now. A couple clips from today's workout where I was doing some different kettlebell exercises, and one was the kettlebell deck squat. And that's like, it's kind of like a hybrid move of a deep squat, rolling down onto your back, doing a pullover, and then rolling back up in standing position again. And it's a very challenging move, and it took me a lot of attempts to get it right. See if I can show you that. I'm going to see if I can bring it up, because me talking about it, there's going to be a lot of people like, what the hell is he talking about? Because Lee is he's already a very seasoned fitness enthusiast, and if this was a new one for him, right, it's going to be new for a lot of people. Posted it up on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook group, so I'm just going to show you here now if I can find that, clip it. All right, where's it to? Okay, here it is. Second now, guys. I'm going to share my screen again, so you can see. Share screen. Just give me a second. Second, see that. Okay, that's the text. I'm just going to hide the comment. Squat down, roll onto your back, do a pullover, and then squat back up. So you're literally squatting ass to grads, right? Let me show it again there. So squat down, curl, roll back, pull over, squat back up. And that took me a lot of attempts. We're seeing the successful attempts right here. The failed one is my buttocks did not move the ground. But this is the successful one. And that's one of those exercises that once you get it, it's pretty easy. But to get that technique, and then the body position and the coordination and the timing, it took a lot of screwing around, a lot of failed attempts. But once I got it, it was just like snap, right? It's like riding a bike. Like, if you've never ridden a bike before, you feel, oh my God, I'm all over the place. But once you get it and you get that balance and everything else, it's like, wow, this is easy. I love it. So kind of similar thing there with the deck squat. But anyway, yeah, thanks for noticing it. And you know what? I encourage you to check it out. And for those of you who are looking for some good kettlebell advice and workout tutorials, the guy that I follow, I just found him on YouTube, Mark Wildman. Just do a search for Mark Wildman Kettlebell, and he'll pop up in YouTube. He is phenomenal with explaining the technical side of kettlebells. I really like his just no BS, just tell it like it is, and he drills in the technique over and over and over again. It's almost a bit monotonous when you're watching a video, because he's going over it and over it, like drilling it into you. But I'm telling you, that's what I found was really helpful for me to master the technique with a lot of the moves, like the snatch, the clean, all the different moves, like at the get-ups, all these different kettlebell things. I found he's been fantastic. Again, I don't know the guy personally. I'm just giving a free shout out to him, but Mark Wildman Kettlebell. Search for that on YouTube. You'll find him. All right, who else we got joining in? We have Brian. All right, I'm He says, unfortunately, I unfortunately just analyzed the best times to take certain vitamins. I was taking a lot in the morning and found myself tired from my body overworking processing them. So now I spread them throughout the day. I also found having a chart list of healthy foods like a menu has helped me to choose what to eat throughout the day. Helped me tremendously. Just wanted to share. Thanks, Lee. You rock. All right. Yeah. I appreciate you for sharing that. And you are right. When it comes to vitamins, like there's a lot we could unpack with that. Quite honestly, I don't. That could be a whole podcast or topic in itself. But there are certain vitamins that are better to take earlier in the day. There are certain ones better to take later in the day because they can actually have like a stimulatory effect or a relaxing effect. And you want to take ones that are going to be more stimulating, I guess, earlier in the day. Like a prime example, the B vitamins. They can be stimulating to help increase your energy. So taking them earlier in the day would be ideal. Other things like magnesium and zinc and things like that, like the ZMA, that can help to promote relaxation. So I like to take that later in the day. So yeah, once you start to figure out you can time your vitamins. Now, it all depends on what it is you're taking and stuff, but certain things work better earlier in the day. Certain things work better later in the day. And if you are taking a lot, a lot of vitamins, spacing them out can be helpful instead of just boat loading a shit ton of vitamins all at once and then probably not necessarily absorbing them all. Another thing you want to factor in too when it comes to vitamins is certain ones compete with one another. Like calcium is a dominant mineral because it's so abundant in the body and it's so important. If you take calcium and other minerals together, very often the calcium may get absorbed at the expense of others. So if you took calcium and zinc, both are critical, but the calcium is more critical. So the calcium would probably get absorbed at the sake of the zinc. So you probably would get less absorption of the zinc and more absorption of the calcium. So if you're taking supplemental calcium and supplemental zinc, space them apart so that you get maximum absorption. Right, that would be helpful. Don't take them together because that would block the absorption. That also applies with a lot of medications. Like, for example, I know, like my mother, she takes thyroid medication. She can't take thyroid. Thyroid should be taken on an empty stomach, but definitely space it out from something like calcium because calcium would block the absorption of that medication. And a lot of times, if you are on any medication like that, it will probably have it on the label, or your doctor would have advised you, hey, take this on an empty stomach, or don't take this with dairy, or don't take this with foods and supplements containing calcium, because again, it may block the absorption. So again, there's so much we could unpack with that. Like that could be a 2-hour podcast in and of itself, but I just wanted to touch on it here since you brought it up there. But again, thanks for sharing that, Brian. What else we got there? We have George joining in. Lee, this is George Alfred. I'm unable to continue working out for the time being because I've been diagnosed with Parkinson's. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. That's serious. I mean, I've had some family members in that who've had Parkinson's, and I wish you all the best with that. But again, I don't know the degree or how bad this is, but man, obviously follow your doctor's advice on that one. I mean, if the doctor thinks it's not safe to work out, then follow the doctor's advice. But if it is possible to keep yourself active, even if it's just low intensity exercise, if it's just walking for that matter, movement is medicine. Like when you talk to a lot of healthcare professionals, especially people who are in like the holistic or the natural therapy, natural type of healthcare options, movement is medicine is a common phrase that's thrown around. So stopping everything and just like, hey, I'm just going to sit on the couch for the rest of my life is probably not the best thing. If you can get up and move, that would probably be better. But obviously follow your doctor's advice on that. Again, I'm not a doctor. I don't even pretend to be one on YouTube. So I'm just verbal diarrheaing out my mouth here right now, right? I'm not trying to give anybody medical advice here. I'm just speaking my mind, if you will. We have Miranda joining in. What do you think about those little stepper things that are all over YT shorts and Instagram, YouTube shorts and Instagram? Those little stepper things. They must be popping up in your feed because you've been looking at videos of little stepper things. Honestly, I haven't been seeing them in my feed. And that's the thing about YouTube and social media and everything else. If you start looking for something or you click on something, then you're going to see more of it. So obviously you must have clicked on some videos of little stepper things. I haven't clicked on videos of little stepper things, so I'm not seeing them all over my social media feed. But with that being said, um, I've never used a little stepper thing. I think I know what you're talking about, though. Like, there's there's different ones. Like, there's one that was like a kind of like an elliptical machine that you would use while you're sitting down at a chair or sitting in your sofa, and you kind of like wiggle your legs and spin the elliptical. I can't remember what it's called, but you probably know what I'm talking about. It was on like TV infomercials and stuff like that. If you're really hard up, like for example, like I was talking about Mark King earlier, someone like that who can't even stand up or can't do regular exercise like moving around, something like that would actually be better than nothing because at least it's moving the body. Like if someone is in a like they're so big they can't move around comfortably, moving your legs on a little stepper thing is better than nothing. So that could help to get more blood flow and circulation and could potentially build up your strength and stamina to doing walking and other exercises. But if someone is at the stage where they can actually get up and move, you can go for a walk, you can do regular exercise, or you can go to the gym or whatever, that would be far superior than these little stepper things. Like, I'm not knocking it. Like I know some people, some colleagues of mine, like in the fitness industry, even like fitness coaches and trainers who have like these little walking desks where it's like this little flat treadmill that you put under a standing desk. So, I could be standing and walking while I'm doing this video chat, for example. I mean, it's something. It gets you off your ass and it gets you moving. But from a true fitness point of view, it's it's movement, right? I mean, look at it that way. It's movement, but for someone who's already in decent shape, that's not necessarily going to make you better because you're not like getting your heart rate elevated. It's not going to improve your VO2 max. It's not going to tax your body hard enough to actually stimulate a response to improve your strength, stamina, and endurance. It is more movement than sitting down, but you got to look at where are you at in your fitness journey. For someone who cannot move, like cannot stand up, that would help. For someone who is already in relatively good shape, honestly, I think it'd be a waste of time and money, and you'd be better off investing your time doing more intense exercises that are actually going to be a better bang for your time investment. But anyway, I just wanted to share my 2 cents worth because that's another thing. Like all these questions, anything that you ask about fitness and nutrition, it depends on the individual. Because what could be a good answer for one person might be the totally opposite for somebody else, and vice versa. So I always try to give the bigger picture context instead of just giving the typical meathead answer, just saying, "Oh, it's a piece of crap." Well, it's probably a piece of crap for some people, but it might be a really good machine for others. All right, let's see. All right, what else we got there? I don't have time is the biggest load of BS. Um, we got to decode what I don't have time means. Like it is honestly, that is BS. I'll be totally honest because we make time for things that are important to us. And a lot of times when people are looking for a convenient excuse, I don't have time is a good one. Now, sure, there are moments when we legitimately don't have time. Like if you're really busy that day, okay, maybe I can't get to the gym today because I've got so much on my plate. But tomorrow I could probably make time or the next day or something like that. But when people just say I don't work out because I don't have time, yeah, I'm sure they have time to watch a television program or a Netflix show or time to scroll on social media or time to sit down and watch Lee Hayward spew on on this live video chat and talking to you right now. I mean, if you have time to sit and watch this, you probably have time to go to the gym and time to exercise. So yeah, I don't have time. It's really code for saying I don't want to, right? I don't have time to work out really means I don't want to work out, or I don't have time to yada yada yada, whatever. I don't have time to do something that you don't want to do means I just don't want to do it. It's a nice way of saying I don't want to. We got Mark joining in. Says, "Hey Lee, thank you again. That was a really good workout. Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Glad you got in the workout. And again, we did this as a home workout using resistance bands, and that's something that I'm going to be doing with Mark. Like he does his own workouts throughout the week. Does a live stream on his YouTube channel, King Live 2025. If you want to go check him out." But today I joined him for the live stream and actually took him through an upper body workout using the resistance bands. I'll probably take some clips from that video today and share it on my channel as well. I did that with last week's workout, so that's posted up there on my channel. One of the most recent videos I posted this week. All right. If a 500 plus man can do it, what's your excuse? Never give up. Absolutely. That's what I say. All right. People are talking about my action figure, saying how cool it is. Absolutely. I'm proud of that action figure. I'm going to I wish I could get one. I mean, I got it through ChatGPT. Now I just got to get the darn thing made. Let's see. Why do bodybuilders or gym rats in general avoid sugar when trying to build muscle? Why is sugar bad? We got to put it in context, all right? Because from a fat loss point of view, sugar can add a lot of empty calories. Sugar stimulates the appetite, so the more you eat, the more you want. It can spike your insulin levels, and it can cause a lot of problems, especially when eaten in excess. But is sugar bad? No, it depends on the context, because in certain situations, sugar is actually very advantageous, and I'll give you some examples. Look at long distance endurance athletes, like someone who's running a marathon or a triathlete or a long distance cyclist, people who are athletes in general, people who are doing high intensity training and are burning through a lot of energy. Sugar can actually be your high octane fuel source because sugar is rapidly absorbed and it helps to replenish energy, and it gives you that glycogen in the system. Like the sugar gets absorbed, it gets stored in the muscle cells and in the liver as glycogen. That is your high octane fuel source. So for people who are burning a lot of calories and they need to replenish those calories quickly, sugar can actually be advantageous. And I'll use the example of cycling. Like me, I do a lot of cycling myself. So when I do big rides, I will consume simple carbohydrates to get that rapidly absorbing carbohydrate into the system, and that helps to sustain your energy. And with a lot of endurance athletes, this is kind of like the game changer. And if you study the world of endurance, the common trend now is to consume high amounts of calories, high amounts of carbohydrates, simple carbohydrates, while you're exercising to keep your energy level sustained. So for example, like if someone is doing a marathon or an Ironman or like a Tour de France cyclist or someone like that, while they're racing, they're consuming upwards of 100 grams of carbohydrates per hour while they're racing. I mean, that sounds astronomically high, especially for all the low carb carbophobes, people who are like keto, carnivore, low carb, and saying, oh my God, carbs are bad, sugar is bad. Like that sounds like astronomical amounts. But that's what they need in order to keep their energy levels high. So they want to basically be replenishing it as fast as they're burning it so that they can maintain their energy levels. Again, they're a high performance athlete. They're not doing exercise for the purpose of losing body fat. They're doing it for the purpose of performing at their best. And that's a concept that a lot of people have the average person has no idea of what it's like to actually exercise without trying to lose body fat. Like, because most people think if I'm going to exercise, it's because I want to lose this goddamn gut. I want to lose this fat. That's the only reason I'm exercising is I want to lose fat. But imagine you're already at your ideal body weight and you're doing it for performance because you want to get stronger. You want to go faster. You want to perform better. Now your goals and priorities change. It's not about losing fat anymore because you're lean. You're already at your ideal weight. Now you just want to maximize performance. In those situations, simple carbohydrates, including sugar, can actually be very advantageous when done in the right way. So it's not necessarily good, bad, right, or wrong. Now, why do bodybuilders avoid it? Because bodybuilding is not a performance sport. Bodybuilding is a who looks the best in their underwear sport or in their posing trunks. It's not underwear, but you know what I'm talking about. Like, who looks the best standing up there in their skivvies, right? In their banana hammock or whatever you want to call it. Who looks the best? And it's all about just stripping away that stubborn body fat and having the lean muscular physique. But it's not a performance sport. Like, they're not being judged on how fast they can run or how far they can run or how many push-ups they can do or how much they can lift. It's just who looks the best. So when you cut sugar and you're in a calorie deficit, that's really good for burning body fat, but it's not necessarily good for strength and athletic performance. So that's why a lot of physique competitors will cut carbohydrates and cut sugar, because they're just trying to burn all that excess body fat and get as lean and ripped as possible. And they don't care if they sacrifice their strength and energy in the process, because again, they're not being judged on that. They're being judged on how lean and shredded and muscular they can get. So that's why you're going to see all these different opinions. And it's not right, wrong, good, bad. It's who is the information geared towards. And this is where it can be so freaking confusing. When you're in Google searching, what's the best diet? What's the best workout? What's the best whatever? Who are they talking to? Like, if I was looking up nutrition advice for a professional cyclist or a professional triathlete, that's going to be totally different than nutrition advice for a professional bodybuilder, which is going to be totally different from the average person who's looking to lose weight, lower their blood pressure, lower their cholesterol, and, you know, get their blood sugar under control. It's totally different. Like, you got to look at who is the information geared for. Like, if I was coaching a 20-year-old who wanted to build up, a 20-year-old string bean who wanted to bulk up and put some meat on his bones, that's going to be totally different than if I'm coaching a 50-year-old office worker who's 100 pounds overweight and wants to lose the gut. You know, you can't give the same nutrition and exercise advice to everybody. So it's not good, bad. It's who's the information applied to. Who are we talking to? So this is where, it can be so confusing, because a lot of times people are spewing out their information, but they're not giving the context of who it's for. All right, what else we got there? Sergio is joining in, has a question. Hey, Lee, I don't really comment on here that much, but after going on 8 years to being subscribed to your channel, your advice and workouts have really helped out tremendously. Keep up the good work. Well, you know what? I appreciate that, Sergio. Thank you so much for sharing. And that means a lot, because I know there's a lot of people like yourself who are kind of like lurking in the shadows, if you will, not really commenting, not really interacting, but still tuning in and taking all this in and making good use of it. So again, thank you for sharing that. It means a lot, and I do appreciate it. And feel free to chime in and comment. I mean, if you do have any questions or you want some help or whatever, don't be shy. This is a safe place to chat and interact. Who else we have joining in? We have M&G Hydraulics joining in. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to you as well. Okay, who else do we have? Just a second now. I'm trying to find any other questions geared towards me. That's interesting info. All right. Good. I'm glad you found it helpful. Let's see. Second now, guys. Oh, we got a super chat support coming through from Miranda. Thank you much for the support. And Yura says, you're awesome to provide so much free advice. You know what? Yeah, I do provide a lot of free advice here on YouTube. And, the goal here is to obviously provide a lot of help in that. But I know, like this, I'll be totally transparent. Like, the reason why I do all this is because I know that this is a great way to get a lot of advice out to people. But there's going to be a certain percentage of people who watch this and are going to want to get more. They're going to want to take it to that next level. And those are the people who become my personal coaching students, whether they work with me one-on-one in the gym, and I have several students that I'm doing that with now, or whether they join me and, become part of my online community, the Muscle After 40 Blueprint program. That's an option as well. And for those people who kind of like take it to the next level, those are the guys who are really getting exceptional results, right? We're seeing like that's the ones who really make the before and after transformations. And if that's something you're interested in, I mean, feel free to reach out to me. You can send me a message, whether it's an email or a private message, and we can have a chat, discuss you, your goals, your situation, and see if we can come up with an action plan that works for you and what would be an ideal thing. I mean, if I feel that you'd be a good fit to come on board with our one-on-one coaching program, the Muscle After 40 program, or if I feel you'd be a good fit to come join me and work out together at the gym. If you're local, we can certainly do that as well. But that's the reason why I put this out there, is to kind of share a lot of value, and indirectly it helps a lot of people. But I know of the people who are absorbing this information, a certain percentage of them are going to want to take that next level. All right, who else we got? Oh, we got Andy joining in. And Andy's one of the guys who is in the process of achieving that before and after transformation, and he's part of our Muscle After 40 program. Says, what are the best set of reps for building muscle? So I guess, what are the best sets and reps? That's a loaded question, and I'm going to give you some context here. All right. Anything that you do, all right, especially if you're new to training, like this is, so you're not going to the gym, you're not doing any strength training, anything that you do consistently is going to produce results, because it's unique muscle stimulation. That's what we're going for. We're looking for unique muscle stimulation, and we're looking for progressive overload, meaning we're trying to coax the body along to do more than it's used to doing, so that it has a reason to grow bigger and stronger and to improve your strength, and in this case, to build muscle. So for someone who hasn't worked out before, anything that they do consistently is going to work. Now, generally, a lot of workout programs recommend like 3 sets of 10. And the reason why that is because it's simple. It's a good mid-range in terms of the volume and the time under tension. And it's something that you can kind of wrap your head around. Okay, I'm going to do this for 3 sets of 10. So you get multiple sets, 10 repetitions. If you're lifting for 10 reps, the weight is not too heavy. And it's not too light. It's kind of like in that, it's like the Goldilocks effect, right? It's not too hot, it's not too cold, it's just right. So it's kind of in that nice mid-range, and it's a good place to start. But as you become more advanced, you may want to manipulate that depending on the exercise and depending on your goals. So for isolation exercises, for example, sometimes people want to do higher repetitions and more time under tension, especially for things like abdominals, or for calves, or maybe some isolation exercises like leg extensions or side lateral raises or things like that. You might want to do higher repetitions and get more time under tension, so you can really feel those muscles burn. Sometimes for big power exercises, bench presses and squats and deadlifts and things like that, rows, you might want to do lower repetitions. Like a lot of times you see guys doing like 5 sets of 5 for like squats and deadlifts, because those are big compound moves and they tend to respond to heavier weights and lower repetitions. But it's not that there's right, wrong, good, or bad. It really depends on the context and what it is that you're training for. And the good thing about muscle building is there's a wide range. Like you can do like sets of 5, or you can do sets of 25. And as long as you're training in a progressive overload fashion, meaning you're doing more than you did before, you can still stimulate hypertrophy. You can still stimulate that response. Now, when it comes to sports performance, this is where it gets a little tricky. Like if someone's training for powerlifting, then they want to gear most of their training towards that lower repetition, heavier weight load, because that's what powerlifting is. If someone's doing more muscular endurance type of stuff, say like a wrestler or a boxer, or someone who's doing a longer duration, more time under tension, more longer muscular endurance activities, then higher repetitions would be advantageous. But from muscle building, it's kind of a broad spectrum. Like you can do high reps and you can do low reps and you can do everything in between and still stimulate a hypertrophy response. And a little hack, I'm going to share this with you as well. This is a hack that personal trainers will often use with coaching students. Like, let's just say, Andy, you came to me and said, Lee, I've been doing 3 sets of 10 forever, and I'm stuck in a plateau and I'm not making any progress. What I would do is I would turn that upside down and I would do something totally different. So I would probably have you do, maybe we'll switch it up and do 5 sets of 5, right? Because that's a totally different training stimulus. And that would usually get you stimulating muscle growth again, because it's unique muscle stimulation. It's working your body in a way that it's not accustomed to, and you have to adapt to that new stimulation. Now, if someone came to me and they're already doing 5 sets of 5 and they say, man, I've been doing 5 sets of 5 for months and it's not working anymore, right? That 5 by 5 ain't working for me. I say, you know what? Okay, we're going to change it up. Maybe we're going to do 4 sets of 15. Just do higher volume, more time under tension. And then all of a sudden, that's going to be unique muscle stimulation. And that could help to spur on new growth because it's different than what the body's accustomed to. And you can use this for yourself. So when you get in a situation where you're hitting a plateau, just analyze your workouts. Like, what have I been doing? And try and do something that's different, that's going to provide unique muscle stimulation. That could be different sets and reps, or it could be also different exercises. Changing up the exercises themselves can help provide unique muscle stimulation as well. But, it doesn't always have to be, this is the perfect set and rep pattern. And again, a lot of fitness influencers, what they'll do is they'll go out there and preach what their favorite set and rep pattern is and say, well, this is the best. Like, I like doing 5 sets of 5 because it worked for me and it'll work for you too. It might, right? I mean, I'm not saying it won't, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the best, right? The best is what's unique to you in your situation, right? And the best can change, all right? So anyway, hopefully that helps to clarify it. I know sometimes it's a long-winded answer, but hopefully the message got through. Who else we got joining? We have Manuel joining in. What's your perspective on fasting as a health strategy? Is it beneficial or potentially harmful? Can it be considered an effective tool for weight loss? Greetings from South Africa. All right. Again, it depends. Right? There are times when fasting can be advantageous and it can help from a weight loss point of view. But the thing we have to look at from a bigger picture point of view, is it sustainable? Is this something that you can do long term? Right? Because short-term results or short-term tactics that lead to short-term results isn't always sustainable. And I was actually chatting with someone today, said, I was following keto and intermittent fasting and I lost 70 pounds. And they were like, wow, that's, but I couldn't sustain it. And I ended up gaining 50 of those 70 back again. So like, what's the point of going on some crazy extreme diet if you can only suffer it out for the short term and then you ultimately end up binge eating and gaining it all back again? So if your goal is long-term weight loss, what you have to think of is what can you do as a sustainable lifestyle approach and not a short-term suffer it out and deprive myself approach. Like anybody can suffer in the short term, but I don't care how tough you are or how much willpower you have or whatever. Like everyone has their threshold of how much crap they can take before they say, screw it, F it, I don't care, enough's enough, I'm not doing this anymore. Once you get to that point where you say, screw it, F it, I'm not doing this anymore, then you go back to your old eating habits and you regain all the weight back again. You're back to square one, fatter than ever and depressed and pissed off and ordering more food to get, to comfort yourself in the moment. We want to avoid that. So you have to look at the bigger picture, right? I mean, in the short term, sure, there can be some temporary benefits to fasting and that's, but I always like to look at it from a big picture perspective. And, especially from an athletic point of view, fasting is not ideal because you're literally depriving your body of nutrients and it's very hard to meet your nutritional intake. Like from a protein perspective, like especially when you're looking at athletic performance, muscle building, recovery from athletic training, the general rule of thumb, a gram of protein per pound of lean body mass per day, that's really hard to do when you're fasting. Like if you're only eating one meal a day, what are you going to do? Like, I'm a 200-pound man and I eat once a day. Am I going to sit down and literally eat 200 grams of protein in a single meal? Like, nobody's going to do that. And even if you did, the digestion and utilization of that protein is not optimal. You're better to have it spaced out evenly throughout multiple meals per day. So, I mean, I have utilized fasting myself, and in the short term, I did lose weight from it, but I also believe I lost lean muscle from it as well. And from a sustainability point of view, it wasn't sustainable. So I'm not a fan of long-term fasting. Now, you can use different variations of intermittent fasting or feeding windows if that works for you. Like I know one of my coaching students, and I believe it was actually Andy who was just joining us earlier. I think he has like his own personal rule where he doesn't like to eat after dinner. So like he finishes up dinner, let's just say he finishes up dinner at 7 p.m. I'm not going to eat anything after 7 p.m. So he will fast from 7 p.m. until the next morning when he wakes up and has his breakfast. That's fine. Like, because having that cutoff rule, that can kind of sometimes help people avoid late night snacking, because you have that rule in your mind. Well, I'm not allowed to eat after 7 p.m. Not that there's anything magical about not eating after 7 p.m., but if that stops you from raiding the cookie jar and grabbing, a container of ice cream or being elbows deep into the Pringles can at midnight, if that can help you prevent that, binge eating, eating the stuff that you shouldn't be, then having that cutoff rule may be advantageous in that sense. But you still want to have like frequent meals throughout the day, at least your 3 squares. You want to have your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner. Like that would be ideal. Anything less than that is not optimal for meeting your nutritional requirements. Okay. So anyway, yeah, I'm going to go on. I know sometimes I can keep going on. Like I could talk on this for an hour, right? But I know we got a lot more questions coming through, so try to get through as many as I can here. Another question here. How would a 35-year-old male with a slowed metabolism lose their gut in 50 pounds, doing basic lifting, low intensity, steady state cardio, eating white rice and protein with veg? Well, that's a start right there. I mean, working out, doing cardio, and trying to eat better. You can have more variety in your diet, but it doesn't always have to be rice and protein and veggies. I mean, you can vary your carb sources and vary your protein and your vegetable sources, but you have the fundamentals in place right there. But there's a lot to unpack. There's a lot of things, and there's a lot of the little details, and this is where details matter, because the big picture question, just eat right and exercise, you'll lose weight. I mean, that's the ignorant response, right? I hate that. Like, you go in on social media groups and stuff like that, especially a lot of fitness groups, and people say, like, how do I lose weight? Right? Eat right, exercise, train hard, cut your carbs, or just giving these like one line BS answers that really help nobody. That's like if someone was a smoker and said, how do I quit smoking? Just stop smoking. Duh. Like, that doesn't help anybody. Or telling an alcoholic to just stop drinking, or telling someone who's addicted to recreational drugs to just say no, just sober up. Like, that doesn't help anybody. That doesn't correct the root cause of why they're doing that unhealthy habit to begin with, right? We got to get down deep and figure out the root cause of what's going on here. And that's what we focus on within the whole Muscle After 40 program, is, digging up a bit of dirt, right? And trying to fix the root problem so that everything else kind of falls in place. It's like, get down to the first domino. If you can knock over that first domino, then that's going to knock over all the others. But if you're just worrying about the details of what's my calories and macros and what's the best sets and reps, that's not fixing the root problem underneath, right? So that's usually where people struggle. And that's what we really focus on. So if you want some help with this, like if you genuinely want some help with losing the gut, feel free to reach out to me, and I'd be more than happy to have a conversation with you where we can really discuss what your challenges are and see if we can come up with an action plan that works for you. All right, what else we got there? Mark is joining in saying, if I eat a whole pizza during a plank, does it cancel out the calories? Because technically I'm burning them while eating. And if I do a sit-up in between each bite, does that make it interval training? No, my friend, you cannot cancel out a poor diet through exercise. The amount of calories you burn during exercise versus the amount of calories consumed, especially eating a freaking pizza, they do not average out. I can tell you that right now. I mean, a whole pizza, depending on what your definition of a whole pizza is, I mean, that could be like a little tiny frozen pizza, or a big old jumbo pizza you get from the pizzeria. That could be anywhere from like 2,000 calories to 5,000 plus calories. The amount of calories you're burning during a plank, 10 calories or something like that. So the math doesn't add up. The calories in versus calories out equation is not in your favor there. You would have to be doing a lot of activity to cancel out a whole freaking pizza. Like, you'd have to run a marathon, right, in order to cancel out a pizza. And even then, it's questionable depending on how big the pizza is. But you can't cancel out poor diet while exercising. Nutrition comes first. right? Especially when it comes to weight loss, right? That is key. All right, another question here. This one's from Brittany. What are some good stretch exercises for the lower back? All right, I actually have a stretching playlist that I'm going to share with you, Brittany. It's up on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel, and there's actually a back stretching playlist, or a back stretching video in that playlist, I should say. So if you go to Lee Hayward's Total Fitness Bodybuilding and open up the playlist tab and scroll down through the gazillion playlists that are there, I know what I'm looking for, and I'm still having trouble finding it here. Now, give me a second. There's over 1,500 videos on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel, so there's a lot. Jesus, where is it? Hang on. Where is that playlist? I'm going to copy the link. Oh, there it is. All right. It's called Bodybuilding Stretching Routine. Now, even though it's called bodybuilding, the same stretches would apply for anybody, whether you're a bodybuilder or not. And in fact, my definition of bodybuilding is a bit different than most people. So I'm not necessarily talking about competitive bodybuilders. I'm talking about people who are building their body. You're exercising, you're eating right, you're taking care of yourself with the goal of building your body stronger, leaner, and healthier. Not necessarily with the goal of putting on a swimsuit and getting on stage all greased and oiled up and competing. Now, if you want to take it to that level, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I did it for years. I did 15 bodybuilding shows wearing my banana hammock all greased up and tanned and oiled and on stage. And, I enjoyed it while I did it, but now I'm kind of focused on more of a holistic lifestyle approach. All right, so just give me a second. I'm going to go back to the stream and copy that link in. I got it for you there. So this is a stretching playlist, stretching video playlist, whatever. But you'll know what I'm talking about. You can go check that out after. And in that playlist, there are videos covering stretches for all the major body parts. And the very first one is actually a back stretching routine. And then there's leg stretches and chest stretches and shoulder stretches and arm stretches and some different stretches for hips and mobility and things of that nature. So again, check that out. Some of them are older videos, but they're still legit. They're still valid today. I just want to touch on that because I remember I shared a video like this with somebody and they're like, oh my God, like that video was made back in 2010. And I said, yeah, like, do you think the human body has evolved that much that something that worked back in 2010 would not still work today? Like, it still works, right? Like, we have not evolved as a species to the point where, hey, an exercise that worked, 10 plus years ago is not still going to work today. But yeah, check those out. Again, the link is there in the video description or the comments there. You can go check that out. All right, where was I to? Lost my spot in the chat. Brittany's question about stretches. Where the hell was I? All right, there we are. Jay is joining in. Do you like doing more shorter workouts, 45, 60 minutes, more times a week than less longer workouts, 70 plus, or vice versa? It really depends on my schedule. I mean, I enjoy both. I mean, I'll be honest, I do enjoy settling in for a long workout. And especially now that I've been getting involved with cycling over the last several years, those can go into long workouts, especially, I love going for a long bike ride. Like on the weekend, like if we get a nice sunny Saturday, I have no problem getting up at the crack of dawn and getting on the bike and literally ride for hours. Like I love that. That's like my me time, my active meditation. I'm just getting outside and enjoying the adventure. A lot of times I'll go do a group ride with some of my friends and we just make a full day of it, right? And it's just an absolute blast, right? So in that situation, yeah, I love longer sessions. But then throughout the week, you got to do shorter workouts because, I mean, especially if you're busy, you got family, you got work, you got responsibilities and chores and errands to do. You can't be spending hours at a time working out, whether that's gym, cardio, or whatever. So sometimes, yeah, it's just these little short bursts. Like this morning, I went to the gym for an hour, right? Get in, get it done, get out. Sometimes you have to be efficient that way. And so both apply. Now, personally, I like having the freedom to work out as long as I want without having to stare at the clock. I mean, that just feels good, right? When I can go for a bike ride or when I can go into the gym and I know like I got all the time I need. I don't need to be staring at the clock. I enjoy those more. But there are times when I got a packed calendar, there's appointments, there's schedules, there's things to do, and I am staring at the clock, right? So it's you got to make the best of your situation, right? But again, you're asking, what do I like more? I like the long ones. I mean, I just enjoy it. I mean, I guess I'm a rare breed in that sense. Like I've from years of doing this, I just enjoy working out. I enjoy being active. I enjoy pushing myself. It's fun. It's challenging. I mean, it's like a natural endorphin rush when I'm training and doing this. But I realize, you got to factor real life in there as well. So sometimes we have to pay attention to the clock. All right. Andy's saying, thanks, Lee. Gotta go. Have a good day. Awesome. All right, Andy, great chatting with you. And hopefully I'll be chatting to you during our next group coaching call. And this is something we do a private group coaching call once a week with the Muscle After 40 program, where it's a smaller, more interactive group. And we do it over Zoom. So everybody who's participating can actually chat live during the coaching call. So most likely I'll be chatting with Andy during our next group coaching call. He usually chimes in every week when we do those. Who else we got there? We have Jonas joining in. What is the best way to train your back? Should you split up your back training, like training for width or thickness, upper, mid, lower, or train it all together? Again, it depends, and I'm going to give you the scenarios. If you're just looking for hypertrophy, splitting it up would probably be your best. Like a lot of the bodybuilding programs that I used to follow back in the day would actually have, like, this is a back width workout, this is a back thickness workout, and you would do different exercises depending on what you want to focus on. So for thickness, you do more deadlifts and more heavy rowing exercises and things of that nature. It could be hyperextensions and good mornings and stuff that's going to work the spinal erectors and just the thick meat of the lats with heavy rows and deadlifts and stuff like that. And then for the width, that's when you would do more of your overhead pulling, your lat pull downs or your pull-ups, your pullovers, and exercises that are going to help to widen the lats. It's not right or wrong, but bottom line, the key is you need to make sure that you're hitting all those aspects. Like, you want to do exercises that are going to hit the for width. You want to do exercises that are going to work the spinal erectors and build thickness. You want to train it all. So however you split it up. I mean, I know, like, in a bodybuilding hypertrophy type of training, a lot of times they would probably split that up. For powerlifters, a lot of times they kind of work it together because they're working on the movement pattern. Instead of thinking of the body parts, they focus on exercise workouts. So instead of saying it's back day, it's deadlift day, right? And they do all supporting exercises that are going to strengthen the deadlift. Instead of chest day, it's bench press day, and they do all supporting exercises that are going to build a stronger bench press. So it depends on how you're training, right? And what your main focus is. It's not right, wrong, good or bad. It really depends on the situation. But the most important thing is that you're hitting all those different aspects. Now, it doesn't always have to be in the same workout. Like, you can break it up over multiple workouts. Like, you could say, hey, this workout, I'm going to focus primarily on exercises for back width. Next workout, I'm going to focus primarily on exercises for back thickness. Next one, I'm going to focus primarily on some isolation work for the rear delts and upper back. Like, you can kind of tweak it that way. And you can also pair up complementary body parts. Like, a lot of times when I'm doing my chest work and my shoulders, like any chest and pressing work, I'll also do some work for the rear delts and upper back so that I'm balancing that out, right? And I find that that's helpful. So you can incorporate that if you want, like, pair up some of these together. And a lot of times, like, if you're doing legs, you might want to pair up some deadlifts, whether it's a stiff leg or Romanian deadlift or even a conventional deadlift, and pair that up with a leg workout, because deadlifts incorporate a lot of the same major muscles that you train when you're working your legs, like the hips, the glutes, the hamstrings. They all come into play with deadlifts, and they come into play with a leg workout. So sometimes you might be able to piggyback different body parts together in complementary fashion. So your leg day could also be some stuff for back thickness. Your chest day could also include some stuff for the upper back and the rear delts. And then you might have a dedicated back hypertrophy day where you're doing things that are width and to train the lats and the width of the back specifically. Again, it's not right or wrong. There's different ways of going about it, but just kind of sharing some ideas. And of how you can incorporate it for yourself. Mark is asking, what's the hardest muscle to train that most bodybuilders overlook and why? That's going to be a genetic thing, right? Some people just genetically have stronger body parts and some people have genetically weaker body parts. For me, for example, like genetic weaknesses for me, arms, shoulders have always been a genetic weakness. Like if you look at some of my old bodybuilding pictures, like I just got spaghetti noodle arms and thin shoulders. And even now, like their leg, like in proportion to my torso and my legs and everything else, they still lag behind proportion wise. But my calves, I've always had big calves. Like my mom's got big calves. I kind of inherited my calves from mom. And even though I don't do a lot of direct calf training, I still got big calves. So, for some bodybuilders, the calves are a bitch to build. Like they just don't have the genetics for them. And no matter what they do, they can't build calves. Other bodybuilders, probably naturally have big calves. And it could be the total opposite for somebody else. Like I know some guys genetically have huge arms. Like no matter what they do, even if they don't directly train their arms, they still got massive biceps, massive triceps, just huge arms. Right? Even if they don't do any direct arm training, they're just genetically huge. Some people just got a genetically big chest or genetically wide back, right? Or big quads, big hamstrings, whatever. So you can't really say, well, this is the hardest muscle to train because it's unique for everybody. But I will say this though, if you don't have big legs genetically, that's going to be a hard one to build because it takes a lot of work to build big legs, like squats and deadlifts and the lower body exercises. Those take a lot of effort, a lot of grunt work. So if that's a natural weakness and you're trying to overcompensate for that through just grit and hard work, you got your work cut out for you. Whereas if you're like me, for example, and your weakness is your arms and your shoulders, those are kind of more of the fun workouts, if you will, because it doesn't take as much effort to train arms as it does to train legs. Like it's less physically exhausting. It's less hard to do, if you will, right? Like an arm workout is kind of like a fun workout for a lot of people, whereas leg workout is one of those like, oh my God, it's leg day. And a lot of people dread leg day because of just how hard it is. So I will say that if you have weak legs and you're trying to overcompensate and build them bigger because you need to, you got the chicken leg syndrome, you got your work cut out for you. So that's probably going to be one of the hardest ones. Back could be in that same category as well. Like the back is a really hard body part to train, especially when you're getting into the big heavy deadlifts and rows and the big power moves like that. So they're in the category of they're the hard workouts. So if that's a body part that's lagging, you gotta really grit your teeth and work through that one. But again, it really depends on the individual as far as what's the hardest, what's the easiest. It's a genetic thing. Who else we got there? Cold Frontin Penguin. All right. Is it true rice and whole potatoes turn into sugar and digest too fast to be any beneficial? I heard this on podcast. If true, what carbs do I replace them with? All right. When carbohydrates get digested and absorbed, and they do get broken down and stored as glycogen, but it doesn't mean that they're not beneficial, right? They're still beneficial, and there's more nutritional value than to eating a potato versus eating just sugar. Like there's a lot more nutritional value in terms of vitamins and minerals, and it will be slower digesting, but it doesn't mean that it's not beneficial. And another thing we got to factor in as well, when you look at the glycemic index, like how fast a food gets absorbed, that's based on if you're eating that food alone in isolation. Like how many times do you sit down to a meal and you say, I'm eating nothing but potato? Like that's it. My meal today is a potato. Nothing else. No meat, no vegetables, no nothing. Just a plain ass potato. Very rare does anybody sit down and eat a potato like that, unless you're broke and that's all you can afford or something. But you know what I'm talking about. Like most of the time when you're eating a meal, it's a combination of foods. So you're probably having some protein, some carbohydrates, some vegetables, and it's a combination of food. So with that potato, you might have a piece of meat or a piece of chicken or a piece of fish or some other sort of protein. You probably also have some vegetables with it. So the protein and the vegetables and the potato is going to have a different effect than if you ate the potato in isolation. So it's going to slow the glycemic spike, the insulin spike, the glycemic response, and it's going to be digested and absorbed slower. So you got to factor that in there as well. Like when people are saying, "Oh, it's the same," well, if you had 50 grams of sugar and then just 50 grams of rice, like 50 grams of carbs from sugar, that is, and 50 grams of carbs from rice, and you just consume that alone, it would probably actually have a similar glycemic response in the body. But if you have that as a mixed meal, so that rice is combined with meat and vegetables, and you combine it together, it's going to have a different response in the body. So they're still beneficial, right? You got to factor that in there. And another thing too that has a huge impact on the glycemic response and how fast your blood sugar spikes is the order you eat your food. If you were having a meal of, let's just say you had steak, potatoes, and vegetables, I don't know, steamed vegetables, steamed broccoli, and whatever, I don't know, steak, potato, and vegetables. If you ate the steak and the vegetables first and then ate the potato last, that would have the lowest glycemic response. You would actually have a lower blood sugar spike versus if you ate the potato first and then ate the steak and vegetables last, or even if you mixed them together. Now, mixing them together would be, the best would be eat the meat and veggies first and the potato last. The second best would be eat it all together, like a bite of each and have it in proportion. The worst would be to eat the potato first, because that would give you the blood sugar spike, and then you'd have the meat and the veggies after. So the order that you eat your food can have a huge impact. And this has been documented with people who wear those continuous glucose monitors. Like you see a lot of diabetics wearing them now. It's that little that little circle that goes on the back of their arm. It's literally like a little mini needle that goes in there, and it's reading blood sugar in real time. This has been documented where people will test, how their body responds to different foods and different meal combinations. And even if you ate the exact same foods, but just change the order, it has a huge impact. So for those of you watching, if you want to maximize your body composition and minimize the blood sugar spike and how fattening your foods are, eat your protein and veggies first and your carbohydrates last. This is something that I do personally, and it's made a huge difference, right? So that's a good strategy, and that will give you the most benefit in terms of keeping that blood sugar spike low and stabilizing your blood sugar. All right, we're going to get ready to include this up shortly because I've been yambling on here for over an hour already. What else we got? One more question here. Flan Man 113. A lot of my coworkers are on an injection challenge like Wegovy. What are your thoughts on these? Seeing these guys melt away while I've been hitting the weights makes it tempting. Yeah. You know what? This is the latest craze, like Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, and there's a whole bunch of variations of these semi-glutide drugs. And basically what it does is, first off, it slows gastric emptying. So when you eat food, it takes longer for your body to digest it. So the food is literally sitting in your stomach for longer, so you feel full longer. And it also impacts the hormones and the chemicals in your brain and your body that make you feel full. So when you're taking these medications, it feels like you're full. So that sensation of you ate too much at a meal and it's like, oh my God, I ate too much. I don't want to eat anymore. That's the way you feel when you have those medications in you. It's just like, ugh, I don't even want to think of food because like I've ate too much. I feel disgusting right now. If I eat another bite, I'm going to puke. Like that type of feeling sensation. That's what those drugs are mimicking in your body. Even if the food is not in there, they're making you feel that way, right? So they make you almost like detest food, and that's one of the side effects. Is it causes nausea and upset stomach and everything else. It's almost the same as if you overeat and you feel like, oh my God, my stomach is churning because I ate too much. And this is actually, like, obviously a lot of people are using it from a weight loss point of view, but surprisingly, a lot of bodybuilders and physique competitors are using these drugs as well. And it's crazy. Like, I'm not going to mention names, but I know people right now, competitive bodybuilders, who are on these type of drugs as a way to hack their appetite. And from a short-term goal, it makes sense. Like, in a bodybuilding situation. Now, again, I'm not recommending or condoning anybody to take medication unless it's prescribed by your doctor. All right, like, let's just get that out of the way right off the bat. And from another, playing the devil's advocate here, or we don't know the long-term side effects of these because they're so new. Like, we don't have, like, what's the side effects going to be in 10 or 20 years from now? Like, who knows what kind of damage could be going on the body and the long-term internal level. We don't know. But in the short term, if you're looking for a quick hack to just lose weight in the short term for a short-term goal, it kind of makes sense logically. And I mean, I'm using a bodybuilder as an example of this. Like, a bodybuilder just wants to cut, get in shape for a competition, but they have no intentions of sustaining that low body weight, and they just want to diet down for the short term, and then they're going to go off it and regain weight afterwards. Like, they're going to pre-contest cut and then off-season bulk. You could actually use something like this to hack your metabolism, not hack your metabolism, so to speak, but hack your appetite, so it makes the dieting process easier, right? I get the psychology behind it. But the problem is most of us, we're not looking for a short-term weight loss. Like, we don't want to just lose weight for the short term and then gain it back again. Most of us want to lose weight and keep it off, hopefully, right? You don't want to, I'm 300 pounds and fat. If I take this, I'll get down to 200 pounds and lean, but then I stop taking it and I go back to 300 pounds and fat again. Like, most people don't want to go back to being fat again. They want to, like, lose the weight and keep it off. And that's the problem with these medications, because once you stop taking them, you stop the benefits of them. And do you want to be on this appetite suppressing medicine for the rest of your life? In some cases you may have to, right? But you got to look at the bigger picture perspective again, because what if you get to the point where now you're not just trying to lose weight anymore, but you're trying to improve athletic performance, and you actually need to eat more food, because that's a side effect of these medicines as well. Because you're not getting enough nourishment in the body, you feel weaker, you feel fatigued, you feel depleted. Even though you're not hungry, you feel weak and depleted. And I was actually talking to some bodybuilders who are actually on this right now, and that's what they're saying. They're like, I'm not hungry, but man, I got no strength and energy. I just feel weak and I'm depleted, and I'm like, the workouts are a struggle. And then they're slamming back caffeine and stimulants and everything else to try and get through the workouts because they got no energy, because there's no food in their system. And they're just like, they're burning the candle at both ends. Like, I'm not eating, so yeah, it's great from a weight loss point of view, but because I'm not eating, I got no energy. So then to compensate for that, I'm taking shits tons of caffeine and stimulants and everything else to try and artificially jack up my energy levels. And it's just like a whole mishmash of shit. like I wouldn't want to have that concoction, right? But that's what people are doing. I mean, yeah, it might work in the short term, but like, what's the long-term side effects going to be? Who knows? So, yeah, I mean, anyway, that's my thoughts on it. I mean, I understand the theory and that from a, how it can short term help people, but is it a long-term solution? I don't know. I mean, in extreme cases, like if someone is extremely overweight, yeah, it might be. I mean, that might be the tool they need to get their shit together. But for someone who's normal overweight, we need to look at the exercise, nutrition, and lifestyle habits first, and like get that sorted out, before looking for the shortcut. Right? But anyway, we'll leave it at that. All right, folks. I know there's a lot more questions coming through here, but I'm running out of time, and my wife actually has a beautiful dinner prepared out there in the kitchen, and I'm getting a bit hungry myself, and I'm glad that I'm not on any appetite suppressing medication, so I can go out and fully enjoy that meal and get eating satiation and satisfaction and quality time with the family all in one. So I'm going to clue this up and enjoy a beautiful dinner. And in the meantime, if you want to reach out to me, if you have any questions, like if I didn't address your question today on our video chat and you want to reach out to me, feel free to send me a message, send me an email. My contact information is down below. We can chat through there. And I'll be back again here next Friday, same time, same place, with another Live at 5 video Q&A. Have yourself a good one. Take care. Over and out.